What's up, everybody? I'm here. I'm trying to figure out how to make sure Soren is here also. This will be fun. I don't know what I'm doing, so it's perfect. Let's see. Why? There we go.
There you go. Proud of you. You're all grown up.
I know, exactly. And if I plug my headphones in, I can actually hear you too.
Now, and once you get them plugged in, now all you got to do is tweet the link so I can. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, usually it goes out.
Yeah, I got it.
All right.
I got it.
Perfect. Look at that. See, I actually did it only 4 minutes after the start time. Not bad at all. That would be much worse than that. Oh, man. I lost. Okay. So I'm trying to get a couple more people in here. We got some people here watching. Soren, I actually did a little bit of work.
Oh, my God.
I know. It's shocking. I actually got some topics together that I want to talk to you about. Some things I might want to ask. People saying great job. It's not really a great job. We're here, though. That counts. But look, here's the rundown. Throw it out.
Gone.
It's done. It's gone. What is happening in Kansas City, Soren?
Yeah, you know, the big buzz is Le'Veon Bell, right? He's gone, what did I see today? 311 carries without a rush of 20 yards or more, like the fifth longest, current or maybe even defunct streak in the last 10 years. Yet, he's a big name, right? And if you can bring a big name in, fans are always excited. So there's a lot of chatter around here. There's some reports out there that he's in town. I've talked to some people around the situation, and they tell me that he is not in town, although there's some signs that he could be in town. I'll put it that way. What I've been told is the Chiefs are one of 4 or 5 teams, and they're expecting a decision from Le'Veon Bell sometime tomorrow. But a lot of people are pointing towards the Chiefs being the front runner in this. I can't get anyone in Kansas City to tell me that they think they're the front runner, but I can get people in Kansas City to confirm that they are interested and they are in the mix to get Le'Veon Bell. So if there's anything left in the tank, we'll find out. That's Adam Gase's worst nightmare, isn't it? Have him go to an offensive genius like Andy Reid and then watch him be, super productive. If Adam Gase wasn't already fired, which I'm sure he probably is, then that would certainly get it done.
So what does this say about Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
I think it says that the Chiefs will do anything they can to make their team better. And I think this is the best guy available. I think Brett Veach, who clearly got a lot of praise in the offseason, and rightfully so, for being able to keep all the key pieces, everything except Kendall Fuller from last year's Super Bowl team. I know Stefan Wisniewski moved on as well to the Pittsburgh Steelers. He started at left guard the second half of the year, but Andrew Wiley had been the starter before. So until LDT, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif opted out, they were on pace to have really 21 starters back. And so he did a masterful job of reworking contracts, backloading contracts, a lot of creativity with roster bonuses instead of salary to set up where they can backload deals next year and really try to maybe look ahead and take some bigger hits once the cap's expected to go up when the new TV deal comes around. But I think the other thing he did was create some space. Now, most people thought that, even going into the year, I think the reports are now that they're at like $6 or $7 million worth of cap space right now. And most people thought that was just going to be used to roll over for next year, because they're going to be up against it next year. There's no way around it. They'll be, like I said, turning Chris Jones' salary into roster bonus and all that kind of stuff. But it gives them the opportunity to go out and grab somebody when they think they've got a chance. They picked up Stefan Wisniewski to play left guard last year. Mike Pennell solidified the defensive line as a real run stopper last year. And those were big moves, but they were really bottom of the salary structure moves. They also grabbed LaShawn McCoy going right into the start of the year. And I think the feeling is, they've come up and, I see that hard pass on Bell. And I think that's the question. He's 28, 29 years old. He's not 34. Is there anything left in the tank? A lot of people didn't think there was anything left in LaShawn McCoy's tank, but he actually provided some valuable yards for the Chiefs last year when Damian Williams was down. And I think that's probably the thinking here. Now, he started fumbling and he went to the bench, and they had Damian Williams and they didn't end up needing him. But I don't think it really says anything about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think they still like him. If you're a fantasy player, clearly it's going to cut into his time. But I think they feel like they can put Le'Veon Bell in a better position to succeed. And will he be the old Le'Veon Bell of the Steelers? I don't think so, because this offensive line of the Chiefs isn't as good. Certainly isn't playing as well as they did last year and isn't playing as well as that Steelers line did. But I think they feel like they get a guy that can spell Edwards-Helaire with no Damian Williams. They really wanted that 1-2 running back punch, but Williams was another one of the guys that opted out for the Chiefs, and this gives them that depth in the backfield. So I don't think it says anything about Edwards-Helaire or their confidence in him. I think it just says that there's a valuable weapon that's on the market. They have the cap room, and they're all in about trying to win back-to-back championships, and they're going to go grab them.
Why are you not buying into the national narrative of Elaire?
Because
You're supposed to say Elaire, Soren.
Yeah, I know. If you're from the camp of Steve Levy, because I think somebody stressed to him, you don't say the H, right? It's Helaire. And it's really not. It's like Hilaire, just without the huh. So it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Anyone who's taken, 7th grade French, I think would have a fighting chance of bringing this pronunciation home.
I took 4 years of French.
I took 3.5. What a titanic waste of my time.
Whoa, look at that. I got the banner up.
Look at you. I thought listen, I got a Titanic head, and so do you. But I'm like, I know our fat heads don't usually look this big, man.
Yeah.
They don't usually look this big.
That's very impressive.
Man, you got to figure it all out, because I'm not going to sit here and say that Steve does a good job at anything. So you got to get this shit figured out.
I got it. I'm good. We got the banner. We got the comments going. JVT in the house says Levy was driving him nuts. I think that was pretty much everybody. So as far as Le'Veon Bell, I get that people are kind of down on him, but he was playing for the Jets. They are a disaster. He is kind of the prototypical running back for the Chiefs. I mean, good receiver out of the backfield, of course, can run the ball, but I mean, he seems to fit the system of what they want to do. And I know he's not going to be the bell cow, as you mentioned. He kind of be the guy to spell Helaire, maybe even a timeshare at best, but he does fit what they want to do in terms of their running backs.
He does. They like guys that can catch the ball. If you're going to play running back for an Andy Reid team, you have to be able to catch the ball, and that's the one thing that Le'Veon Bell has proven throughout his career that he can do really well. And it's one of the things, if you were to say, what does it say about Edwards-Helaire? If there is a negative, he's supposed to be a good receiver, and we haven't seen it, whether it's he hasn't learned that part of the offensive scheme. I find that hard to believe, because he's a really bright kid and, gets football concepts and those kind of things. But for whatever reason, whether it's been game plan, they just haven't really got him into that mix. And, I'll also add that I think Sammy Watkins going down with a hamstring injury against the Raiders, they need another playmaker. They need another guy that can take some of the pressure off. For whatever reason, this offense doesn't click anywhere near to the level it does without Sammy Watkins to what it does with him. And that's not to say that Watkins is piling up all the numbers, because any fantasy nerd can tell you how everyone's taking a flyer, picking him up one time when they had injuries. Oh, let me give this a go. Man, it's not there. You get one tease game. It was the opener last year. And then he plays well in the playoffs. If you're in a playoff fantasy league, then you get some production. But whether it's drawing attention away, I know their run, I think it's like 2 yards a carry better when he's on the field on their run. And I think it's a combination of they've got a couple of vertical threats, but he's also a tremendous blocker. And so any kind of run downfield gets an extra shot at being a big play with him out there. So, I think Le'Veon Bell provides them another weapon. I think they can flex him out. If indeed, let's say this, if indeed they do get it. Again, I think there are a lot of signs that no one in the organization is telling me that this is a done deal. They do have interest. They do feel that they're one of the finalists, that the conclusion is going to come tomorrow. But, it's not a done deal. Like I said, there are reports saying that he's just waiting on a physical, and I've been told that is not the case. I'm not saying those people don't have information that's good, but I was told no. I said, is that true? And I was told no, that's not true. So, you wait, you see, but I do think there are a lot of ancillary signs, different things from around outside the organization that are kind of pointing towards there's a decent chance that he's going to be in Kansas City sometime soon. We'll see. Not a done deal, though. It's been stressed to me, not a done deal.
Does this make you more or less interested in Le'Veon Bell? He can also rap. He does. He does have an album. We have rated athlete rappers in the past. Le'Veon Bell, not the worst rapper.
Okay. I mean,
not the best. Certainly not the best. but he's not the worst.
I've always wanted somebody to put together some kind of rap for the program, right? Something that, does so Le'Veon Bell can come in and give me a show rap, then I'll be I'll be quite fired up.
You know that we had one, right?
Yeah, I remember it, but it's been a long time since I heard it. Good. Lay it on us, Adam.
I don't have. I'm not as good with the sound. Actually, I could probably play sound, but I don't know where I would find it at this point. It was a DJ Coherent, a good friend of ours from Twitter, who made that track, which was very, very good. So I guess we've made it there. And yes, our producer Ari says Dame Lillard is better than every athlete turned rapper. That is correct. Le'Veon Bell's up there on the list, though. I do want to get into, obviously, the Super Contest lines in a little bit and talk Raiders-Chiefs from last week. But I told you on a text, Soren, today was a massive day in Las Vegas. I don't want to get too far into it. Because I know a lot of our viewers on Wednesdays are from Kansas City, so we want to stay away from Las Vegas-centric stuff. But I think it's kind of cool to look around the country and say, wow, Las Vegas has made it as a sports town. Obviously, with the NHL, the NFL now, too. It's a big time in Las Vegas for sports, but never have the NCAA had any championships of any kind in the state of Nevada.
Right.
It's been a rule, can't happen because there's sports betting here, and we're evil, and we're all going to hell, and we're the devil, so you can't be here. But that's not the case anymore because there's sports betting everywhere. So Nevada is now around 8 different championships were awarded to Las Vegas today. And it's the first time it's ever happened. Headlined by 2 very big events. 2023 men's basketball regional will be at T-Mobile Arena on the Strip in Las Vegas, which is huge, of course.
Right.
And Truth from Duluth, of course, Minnesota people are going to think this. The Frozen Four coming to Las Vegas. Like, that is massive. The other ones, the men's golf regional, women's national championships in bowling. Like, there's a lot of cool events, but none of those things could ever be here. Now we've got them.
But I will tell you that there is a little bit of, you want the biggest ones, then you got to take some of the other ones. Because Kansas City, you mentioned that news coming out, and Kansas City got a regional final, and they really like Sprint Center and the Power and Light District, the entertainment district that's right across the street from it. It makes for a great environment for fans. And I think Kansas City got a volleyball championship, got a volleyball Final Four, got a wrestling championship, and then got a regional as well today. They handed out all those things. And you've got to take some of the other ones. And by the way, you've got to consistently prove that you'll put some people in those as well. So it's something that, we have a group called the Kansas City Sports Commission. And what they do is group together businesses and people and try to generate interest and everything for every kind of sporting event that we have. And the NCAA ones are always a big part of that equation. And so the golf's, all that stuff's big because all of it's, people. There's and maybe they don't bring the fans like a regional does, but you bring in a bunch of golf teams and all the support staff and all the parents and all that. It's all revenue for the town. So it's big time. It is. You're supposed to have the draft this year, and it's supposedly going to come next year. Hold your breath on that, by the way. Tell me if you think we're going to be at a point that we're having a
we're 2022.
Oh, they did what? So who's 21?
I think it's Green Bay.
Yeah, well, they're not getting it. But anyway, no one's getting. Do you think we're going to be having a draft?
No. Well, they canceled the Pro Bowl today.
Right.
So the Pro Bowl is supposed to be in Vegas in 2021. That's this season. That got canceled, pushed back a year. So beginning of 2022, it'll be Pro Bowl in Vegas, followed by Super Bowl in LA, followed by draft in Vegas if everything stays the same, which would be a very cool little stretch for the I-15 corridor for sure.
Which go back to days like this even just a couple of years ago. But I remember when I lived out there, and the NFL would come and shut down Super Bowl parties that had too big a TV.
Yep.
Because they feared Vegas as a competitive, which it was. They were right to fear it. A destination place for the Super Bowl that was just as good as going to the game.
Well, and by the way, just on a side note, John, I know you're joking here saying the KC event sounds so much bigger. Well, we had some of the little ones too. That's his point. That's what he's saying. If you're going to get the big ones, You got to take the little ones, and
Yeah.
we got the Division III, women's soccer championships. People are not going to be, blown away by that, but that gets you, in the good graces, and that gets you the other events. So that's what you got to do. We will take it.
Become a sports cap. I'll tell you something. Kansas City lost, and from what I've been told, is because Sporting Kansas City didn't necessarily work so well. We had the Division II football championship game. Was played at Children's Mercy Park, which is where Sporting Kansas City plays. Perfect venue for it, right? 18,000 seats, super cool, state-of-the-art stadium. It's awesome for soccer. They pack it for the soccer games. They've been sold out for like 120 games or something. But it was perfect for the football. And they played it one time, and it snowed. And it was the greatest thing. And Northwest Missouri State, a local team, was in there and won the championship. It was the best thing ever. And then they had a scheduling conflict, and they got run out. But those things, they don't sound like that big a deal. But the event, it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, and Matt, you're correct. It's Cleveland next year. I think Green Bay is the year after Vegas, if I'm not mistaken. So 2023 it would be.
Green Bay is in Door County. Are they going to do it, by the lake?
Yeah. What a disaster. You've been to a game of there, right?
No, I haven't. I never have.
Oh, I went last year. Raiders were there last year. So I went up there. Actually went Friday. And I will say this. I know I'm a nerd about these things, so maybe other people wouldn't be as fascinated by it. But we went up Friday. We talked to some of like the town historians in Green Bay just about what football has meant and what it's been. So Green Bay is a tiny town.
Yes.
Like it should not have an NFL team, obviously, but it's cool that they do. And apparently there was like a civil war between East Green Bay and West Green Bay, like in the early 1900s, that was just really ugly, like really nasty. And then, like during Prohibition, they got the football team. They had the football team, and everybody wanted to go there because there was a bunch of bars that were like kind of operating secretly. So, like all these teams tried to schedule the Packers in these random games, but then as they were about to, really take off, they almost lost their franchise because some drunk fell out of the stands. They had like five seat, 5 row bleachers. Some guy fell off the top. He was awarded like $30,000, and they had no way to pay it. So the Packers were going to go out of business.
Yeah,
which is insane.
Yeah,
like those things are crazy. But we talked to some guy that been, around the team for like 60 years. It was very cool. There's a lot of cool sites like that up in Green Bay, so that'll be fun when they do that. But the biggest news, really, in Vegas was the Pro Bowl canceled. Supposed to be in Vegas, pushed back a year, 2022, and I think it'll be here every year. But that's just me. And at the same time, they announced New Orleans loses the 2024 Super Bowl. It gets pushed back a year because they scheduled it at the same time as Mardi Gras. And New Orleans officials are like, no, we can't have Mardi Gras and the Super Bowl at the same time, which actually makes some sense.
It does.
So 2024 is open. It has to be in Las Vegas, right? It has to be in Las Vegas.
I mean, it's coming. You build a new stadium, you get it. That was part of the sales pitch for the Chiefs to get a rolling roof. When they did the renovation of Arrowhead Stadium, was they got the NFL to commit that if they put the rolling roof on, which they actually did as a separate vote from the renovation because they weren't sure they could get the whole thing to pass, but had the rolling roof passed, Kansas City was going to get a Super Bowl. So one's coming very soon to Vegas, and that makes sense.
Is Kansas City getting one?
No, we didn't pass the rolling.
They didn't put it. Okay, wasn't there a plan to put like a roof over both stadiums? Like it would roll from one stadium to the other?
Roof. What did I stutter? The rolling roof.
I don't know that rolling roof.
One stadium to the other. It's like this big hood. It's how the stadiums were originally designed, actually. It's why there are streets on each side. They're lined up like city blocks with a parking lot in between. And the idea was that there would be this roof, and if you had the stadiums, it would sit over the stadium and it could roll off the one and on over to the other, almost like the field rolls out in Arizona and your field there in Vegas.
Sure.
Same concept, except the whole roof was going to roll and it would sit over the middle parking lot, theoretically on like a bad weather day. If they wanted outdoor football, it could sit, so it'd be premium parking, or they could put it over the stadium. They could put it over the baseball stadium. And then they decided it was too expensive. They didn't do it. So then when they renovated the two stadiums, Lamar Hunt was always very passionate about it. And this was while he was still alive, and he pushed for the rolling roof, and they tried it again, and it lost. And there was all these studies about like they were going to get a Final Four, because Kansas City used to be the home of the NCAA, and they screwed that up. and it left. It used to be out in Overland Park, just a stone's throw from where I'm at right now. And they lost it to Indianapolis. But, more NCAA tournament championships, more Final Fours have been played in Kansas City than anywhere else, because early on it was always in Municipal Auditorium. And so the idea was this was going to get us back into the Final Four mix. And then everybody started going, listen, it's not contained. So if you get like a hot day, there'll be condensation on the floor and everybody will be slipping everywhere because the heat of the fans will heat things up and then you'll get condensation on the floor. And so it was like, it was days and days of talk radio topics. The rolling roof, voting for the rolling roof.
Are they going to revisit that at any point?
No, I think it's dead. I think they gave it 2 shots. That's it. They're not going for strike 3.
Fair enough. Well, do want to get into some football. First, want to talk about last week. What on earth?
I want to know from you, because you have not been high on the Raiders. I've been higher on the Raiders than you have.
Not. Yeah.
Still not, right?
Last week was impressive because here's what I'll say about the Raiders. So for 3 years since I've been covering this team, me and a lot of the analytics people have said the same thing about what they do, and that it doesn't work. It's not sustainable. You can't not throw the ball downfield. You can't throw everything 2 yards from the line of scrimmage. Right. You've got to go for it on 4th down occasionally. You can't always punt on 4th and 1 or kick field goals. You can't do those things. So what did the Raiders do last week? They did it. They did everything we've been saying that they're supposed to do. And all of a sudden, they have their best performance in years. Everybody's freaking out about how good they are. And John Gruden, I don't know if you watched John Gruden's press conference afterwards, but he gets on the Zoom and he's like, well, I guess all those analytics people, can take that performance today. And, what are they going to say about that? And I was like, what they're going to say is, this is what we've been saying. This is what we've been saying for 3 years. Right. You did it. It worked. Why are you now taking shots? Like, oh, see, I guess they'll be happy now. Yeah, yes. They will.
Yes. A couple things that I thought were interesting. And we did the broadcast, the television broadcast talked about that apparently in their pregame interview. He said, I will literally do anything to win this game. Hopefully he will now do anything to win every game. Right?
I've been having that attitude every week.
Yeah, right. Because I agree with you. And I've said that the Raiders are, John Gruden and Mike Mayock's blueprint is simply copying the Chiefs. The Chiefs took Eric Fisher in the first round. They took Colton. They got a free agent right tackle. The Raiders got a free agent right tackle. They got a guy to take the top off the defense. They went out and got Henry Ruggs. They got a tight end that handles things underneath. They've had a couple of times gone for running backs, Kareem Hunt in the third, and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They got Josh Jacobs. I mean, I think they're building it the right way. I think they're building it in the image of the Chiefs. Maybe they haven't sold out quite as hard to the offensive side of the ball first, the way the Chiefs really did, certainly around Mahomes. And I think you're seeing maybe, if you want to find out what you got in a quarterback, give him every weapon you can. And if he sucks and he can't win, then you got a guy you got to get rid of. I definitely think, the Chiefs overpaid for Sammy Watkins when they already had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, because they had a quarterback and they wanted to know right away, when we get this guy on the field, is he or isn't he? And there was no denying it. I think you're seeing how much better. I don't think Derek Carr's, Patrick Mahomes, but you now know what you have by giving him Ruggs and all these weapons. And when he plays, now he didn't play a perfect game because he threw an interception, but when he plays up at a high level with those weapons, they can be a dangerous football team. And I think they've done a pretty good job of building it around them. And look, the defense looked like it was, God's gift throughout the third and first half of the fourth quarter because the Chiefs couldn't figure out how to beat it. And so, I think you have to give some credit to what they've done on that side of the ball. I think there were a lot of things that went into it. Like, I love the Chiefs minus any number next time. And I think it was a classic trap game, which I think we talked about coming off the Patriots, an unscheduled short week, looking ahead to the Buffalo Bills, and then all kinds of schedule turmoil going on the weekend on the Saturday. I mean, I think there were distractions. Make no excuses. The Raiders were better. They had a better game plan. And I think it speaks to how strong the Chiefs are that they could get pushed around on both lines of scrimmage and still be within one score. But the Raiders just they whipped them on both sides of the ball. I mean, again, it's a testament to how strong the Chiefs are that they can be beat all around and still, if they could have gotten a stop, could have made it interesting. on trying to steal the game. But the Raiders, I think you got to give some credit to John Gruden. You got to give credit to the talent they put around there. I mean, they've beaten the Saints, who maybe aren't as good as everyone thought. Maybe the Chiefs aren't as good as everyone thought. But they've beaten the Saints and the Chiefs, and they've beaten the Carolina Panther team that's 3-2 and in first place as well, which everybody had been calling just a ho-hum win. A loss at New England, and what's the other loss?
Home Buffalo.
Home to Buffalo. I mean, they've played nothing but quality opponents, and they're 3-2. I mean, they might 5 weeks from now, they could be sitting at 7-3 and be one of the top teams out there. So, they've certainly emerged in the AFC West as the only team this year that's going to challenge the Chiefs.
And the numbers are up. They have a bye week obviously this week, and then 3 straight weeks as underdogs, and then the last 6 games are much more manageable for the Raiders. So the whole point for the Raiders was to try to maintain and not completely fall apart the first half of the season. Check, like that's done. Like they've done that. Right. I think the fear they were. If you go by the odds, and we're going to get into a lot of sports betting talk here in a minute, but if you go by the odds, they were projected to start the season 1-9, and so they're 3-2. So they're already ahead of the game. They just need to make sure split these next 4 and then try to take advantage of the second half of the schedule. But the question is, will they continue to do what they've been doing? Like, will they play the way they played against Kansas City? And if they do, I think they'll be fine. If they go back to punting on 4th and 1s and doing dumb stuff like that, and running the ball 3 yards on first down and 3 yards on second down and hoping you can pick it up on 3rd and 4, like you're playing in 1984, then I don't think that they're going to be able to maintain this. But listen, what you saw on Sunday, really impressive. I don't know how you could fault that. Now, you could pick some things apart. The defense in the first half was not good. I think the way they shut down Kansas City was just not letting them get on the field. They controlled the ball for 20 of the 30 minutes.
Yeah, but that wasn't a coincidence. I mean, that's what they came there to do.
Of course.
And when it came time to burn the clock at the end and run when the other team knew you were going to run, they still ran the ball.
And that is what the Raiders are able to do. That is what they should be able to do. And what they are do, that is kind of their identity. The offensive line is really, really good, even without Incognito. Trent Brown was back on Sunday and actually played fairly well. So that was kind of surprising. But yeah, they're starting to get a little healthier. They certainly look like they are a more than capable team. I don't think they're, a top of the AFC type team, but they did just go out and beat the best team in the AFC. So it's really tough to argue with that. And by the way, your point about the Chiefs and the, kind of the sandwich spot, it was as bad as you could get from a schedules perspective. They had basically the 3 other contenders in the AFC in a span of 4 weeks, and the Raiders were the only one that's not really. So you go what Ravens, Patriots, Raiders, Bills,
right?
Obviously you're looking at the Raiders well, that's our week off,
and they're 12-2 in the previous 7 years against the Raiders under Andy Reid. So it's not a team that you like. Oh my God, here come the Raiders. It's yeah, good, we got this. When do we start on Buffalo? But listen, again, take nothing away. The Chiefs got it. Once you get out into the game and you get your nose bloodied, it's a fight. And they were down for it, and they tried to get back into it. They threw a lot at it, and they weren't able to do it.
Yeah, and not just 12-2, but 109-22 it was over the previous 3 games.
Yeah,
it was ugly. It was ugly. And the Raiders
in 6 games at Arrowhead, Derek Carr had thrown 4 touchdowns and 7 interceptions.
Yeah,
and he was 3-1 in this one.
Yeah, and I mean you can't take anything away from what Derek Carr did.
No,
I think you can nitpick a lot of what a lot of little things that maybe weren't great, but overall they played really, really well, and Derek Carr had a great game.
And Ruggs made a big time catch that was huge. Another big play that was huge. John Gruden schemed Hunter Renfrow. I talk about this all the time, that Andy Reid, there's usually a couple times during the game where he schemes somebody high school wide open, and John Gruden did that to Steve Spagnuolo, and that has not happened at all this year. Charvarius Ward, who's been their top corner, was beaten regularly deep. So they got the better of the Chiefs in every aspect of the game.
So, and here's another thing. I don't know how much X's and O's necessarily you guys talk about, because I think people get bored by it some. But watching some of the film today, so obviously Bill Belichick is a genius. Nobody's disputing that. And the Patriots had just played the Raiders a couple weeks ago. And watching back a little bit of the film the last couple days, it looked to me like the Chiefs were trying to copy what the Patriots did defensively, which is always a smart thing to do. But maybe the Raiders made some adjustments off that. So one of the things the Patriots did, which I don't think I've seen before, and it was amazing. First of all, obviously they did a great job scheming Waller out of the equation. Like, he couldn't do anything in that game, and even when he was open, they didn't think he was open. Like, they were so confused that they didn't even know when he was open, when he wasn't. But they also were double teaming checkdowns, which I've never seen anybody do that before. It was insane, but also brilliant because it worked. The Raiders couldn't do anything offensively. And I saw a couple plays today, looking back, where the Chiefs tried to do it. The Chiefs tried to double not only the check down, like Jalen Richard out of the backfield, or Jacobs on a couple occasions, although he's not really much of a factor in the passing game. Like Hunter Renfrow underneath, a couple times they tried to double him. And a couple times it really didn't work because it's kind of hard to do that. Like, it's hard you never double guys underneath like that. And you saw like Chiefs defenders running into each other. I know one play in particular, two defenders ran into each other. Renfrow just was standing by himself, and then Carr's pass got batted down at the line of scrimmage, so it didn't matter. But those are the things you look at. Like, even though the result wasn't there, the play
scheme was
like,
good.
Right. And I don't even know if the scheme was good. The Chiefs tried to do something, it backfired, and the Raiders got something open off of it. So I don't know if teams are going to look at that Patriots film and say, hey, we should do this. Because sometimes it's not easy to replicate what Bill Belichick tries to do.
And I agree. And I think, I saw there was one of the comments and there was like, am I concerned about the Chiefs defense? And I'm not, big picture. I think they have good personnel. But I mean, I think one thing people have to realize it's the Chiefs, they won 6 in a row going into the playoffs, and they won 3 more in a row in the first 4. So they were on a 13-game win streak. And so, there was an overreaction Monday, like, oh, they really got problems. I mean, oh my God. It's like, they won 13 games in a row. They were 6-4 at one point last year and went on to win the championship. Calm down that they lost a game. But to the point, am I concerned about the defense? I'm concerned there are matchups, right, that can beat you. And you can be the better team, but if you have a bad day with turnovers, like Patrick Mahomes was lucky on one of the sacks, the left defensive end, I forget the Central Michigan or Eastern Michigan kid.
Max Crosby.
Yeah, was getting shoved upfield by Mitch Morse, and then made a great spin move back in as Patrick Mahomes was taken off on the inside, and he got him without Mahomes seeing it coming. And Mahomes does a really good job of knowing where everybody is, and he didn't know that one was coming, and he could have fumbled that ball. And you fumble that ball, you throw a pick, you have a couple bad things, you dig a hole, you just can't come out from it. Like, everyone seems to think that, well, when you're the favorite, that means you will win the Super Bowl unless you just absolutely fall on your face. And that's not how it works. To be the favorite for the Super Bowl means you're 20%. Like, right now, the Chiefs are the favorite to win the Super Bowl coming into the year at about 20%. And so there are things that can go wrong during the regular season, injuries and whatnot. But even in a postseason game, ask the Ravens. The Ravens were definitely the better team than the Titans last year, but on that day, the Titans had the better game plan, and some things went their way, and some things were exposed about the Ravens. So to your point, look, the Chiefs, like, defensively, they don't want to be caught chasing a lot of speed with their linebackers and Dan Sorensen. Dan Sorensen is a dime safety that plays up at the linebacker spot. That's about physicality and contact in zones. And I think the Raiders did a good job of isolating him. He could not handle Waller. Waller got the better of him. And I think that's one of the ways that because they're corners, I think this could be when they get L'Jarius Sneed back, which they just got Bashad Breeland back, which should have helped. But Charvarius Ward's got a cast on his hand. If they have all 3 of their corners, I think it gets easier for Tyrann Mathieu to be the guy that's running with Darren Waller, as opposed to and you see Dan Sorensen come off the field. But with where they've been, which they've frankly been thin at corner, they've had one of those guys down and 2 of them at times down through all of the 5 games, and their secondary, their number 3 pass defense in the NFL with those problems at corner. This game should have happened sooner. And the Raiders exposed what was a weakness there, but that also means Tyrann Mathieu has to play a lot of corner and a lot of coverage, and he can't come down and help in the box, and he can't come down and play the tight end. So am I concerned? No. They go lay an egg against the Buffalo Bills, your Buffalo Bills, Adam. If they lay an egg against your Bills, then that's back-to-back games, and then I think you start to get concerned. This one you say, hey, they got the better of us, tip your cap, and let's move on.
I went to a Bills bar to watch the game last night, and was so obnoxiously celebrating every awful Josh Allen throw into the ground, every interception. When they pulled him, I ran around the bar, like celebrating, buying people shots. I was like, "Get him out! He's done. He's finished. There's your MVP." It was great. It was very obnoxious. They hated me. It was wonderful. And
do you?
Yes.
Are you willing to say he's a good quarterback now, though?
He had 4 good games.
Okay.
So I mean, when people are saying, how could you say he wasn't great? You were wrong. Playing 4 good games this year doesn't mean you were good your rookie year or your second year.
No,
there was some improvement. Now he had 4 good games. Yesterday was bad. As we had one of the guys that covered the Bills on the show today, and he was like, "Yeah, he wasn't good yesterday, but guess what? That might have been his best game last year." So like a terrible game this year may have been his best game last year, which means he wasn't very good last year. He just wasn't. And did he show improvement? Yeah. He's got all the talent in the world. He hasn't been able to harness it. He played 4 good games. Doesn't mean he's going to keep playing well.
They have continued, like he has progressed, and they have added talent. Like to speak to what we were talking about with the Raiders, they got John Brown. Now they get Stefon Diggs. They're putting pieces around him, and that helps. That helps a lot. And
some of the Brian Daboll plays that he runs. Now, yesterday the Titans figured out a little bit, but some of the plays that he runs, you would throw for 350 yards. So it's not necessarily this big step forward. They have schemed an offense that suits him for sure, which helps. There's no question that helps. But they're just running guys wide open. And yesterday that didn't happen.
Two things I would say. Like what was it? Was it the game? I'm trying to remember which game. They're already starting to blend together. But Patrick Mahomes had 2 touchdowns. I guess it was what was the last game before the Raiders? Oh, the Patriots.
That was
touchdowns, and they were both little shovels.
Yeah.
Right, but those go as 2 touchdowns, and he's the MVP. Like once you've had the success, right? And we witnessed in this town, like people on my own radio stations calling Patrick Mahomes a bust. He's a turnover machine. He was a loser in college. He's never going to be anything. His pick is trash. He's awful. And that was when he was sitting and watching. Then he started playing, and it took and he threw 4 touchdowns and 6 touchdowns in the first 2 weeks, and then 3 in the next one, and 2 or 3 and the one after that, whatever it was. I think he had 13 touchdowns in the first 3 games. And, there are people that were still trying to run him down. Now no one does that because he's won the MVPs. Even though his numbers are down a little bit this year, they're still very good. But his numbers are down. But he had all the weapons. We're going to see the other chapters written about Patrick Mahomes, about how good he is. And I think he's going to be very good. But there's going to be some Russell Wilson days and some Aaron Rodgers days when he starts eating up so much of the cap, or he and a couple other guys eat up so much of the cap, and they lose some of that talent. I mean, we're already seeing I don't think there's anything wrong with him. Their tackles aren't playing like they used to. They've always been kind of subpar guard to guard, but you can cover that up. You can scheme around that. You can hide that. It's hard to hide your tackles. And, Mitchell Schwartz was graded the number 1, 2, or 3 best tackle in football the last couple of weeks. Pro Football Focus has him at 20, and they have Eric Fisher at 17. There are 64 starting tackles. That's still above average, but they're used to their tackles being Eric Fisher's probably about where he usually is, but Mitchell Schwartz is usually number 1. And that's a big problem, And so quarterbacks look different when there's no one around them. The really good ones will still find a way to win, but they don't win as much and they don't look as prolific.
OJ was not at the Bills bar. It is the bar that he goes to, though, for Bills playoff
Which one?
Game. Naked City.
Naked City. Is that over in the northwest side? What's that called? Greenville? Green
Valley is southeast. Summerlin is northwest.
Cimarron. What is
Summerlin?
Summerlin.
It's not. It's actually not. OJ only hangs out in Summerlin, really. Naked City is more grimy. Right. It's more us, and it is. I can't believe we haven't taken you there. Maybe we have. Tremendous pizza and wing spot.
And our friend. Does it look like an old diner?
There's a little bit of that. Yeah, a little bit to it. They're in some bars, and best pizza and wings in Vegas, and usually the owner is in here, but I don't think he is tonight. Our friend Chris, so great guy. And then there was something else. on here. No, I'm not on the Josh Allen bandwagon. That's not going to happen. And as Soren said, I'm fine with him until you decide to re-sign him. And if they give him a massive contract, which they probably will, and then you have to start going Jared Goff and not having guys around him, then that's when it's a problem. And you can't bring in guys like Stephon Diggs, and you can't bring in other high-priced guys.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because it is this next summer that it's contract time. It's
well, they'll have to decide on the 5th-year option, right?
Right, and that's when you hand them the money. That's when Goff and Wentz got it. That's when Patrick Mahomes got it.
That would be a massive mistake.
That's become the plan. So you've had 3 years, so they're going to have to make the decision. Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, all those teams got to decide, and you'll find out whether or not they really believe in them.
That would be a massive mistake for the Bills. And since they're not playing this week, I can address this question as well, because we won't get into them with the Westgate lines. How mad are you Herbert is playing well? I'm not mad. He's playing very well. He's not playing that well, though. They are still 0-4, and you can pinpoint spots where he has made critical mistakes. Now, he's a rookie. That's what you expect. But, like, this is what we're talking about. Why when the choice is between Tyrod Taylor and Justin Herbert, and it's if you don't have aspirations for the playoffs, it's Justin Herbert. You have to play him. You have to get him ready. You have to play him along. But in the Chiefs game that the Chargers should have won, when the Chargers are in field goal range to ice the game, and he decides to throw it across his body instead of just keeping the ball and kicking the field goal, that cost him a win. And in the game this week, there was a couple spots here and there, but the 4th down play, he makes a good read, makes the right decision, throws it behind the receiver, and he can't stretch out for the 1st down. Like, ball placement is very big. Those are big things. And there's just little mistakes he's making. The Panthers game, it was just turnover central, and they blew the game from there.
So play this game with me, because we did this on Herbert. Because I will admit, I was not high on Herbert. Every time I saw him under pressure at Oregon, he sucked. And I'm like, you have to be able to throw the football under pressure in the NFL, because you're going to have guys all around you. You don't get the clean pockets you get in college. And so he's already outperformed what I thought he would be. So I will give him that. But I am with you. There's way too much hype going on already. Win a game, right? That is part of it. Like the fantasy football, like, oh, he's a surprise pickup for my team, so therefore he's a really good quarterback. He's 0-4. Like, right. You are supposed to win games, and it's what they always are, right? Nothing has changed. It's different. It's not Phillip Rivers throwing picks, but they lost 9 games by 1 score. They played 5 one-score games. That was a record last year, by the way, losing 9 games by 1 score. They played 5 one-score games. They're 1-4. So he does. I'm with you. There are times I give credit to the offensive coordinator. They've done a great job. He looks good to this point. But if he's still just putting up numbers, like, give me the guy. What do you think his ceiling is? We played this game. What's his ceiling? Give me a player that his ceiling is, and give me a player that his floor is, and then give me a player that you think he will be.
Wow, that's kind of tough, actually. Yeah.
I'll go first. I'll go first to give you an idea. Start your mind thinking, right? Get your mind going. What I said was the ceiling is Dan Marino, and I don't think he's going to reach the ceiling. But that's it. He's more mobile than Dan Marino, but a big, strong-arm quarterback that can wing it around, right? And because he's not winning games right now, I don't think he's going to win 4 Super Bowls at some point, right? The floor is down in the Jeff George.
Funny, Jeff George is what else?
Jay Cutler. That's the floor we settled on. And my prediction is he's Carson Palmer, to which some people are like, oh, that's pretty good. Well, go back and look at how many playoffs Carson Palmer actually played in. I mean, Carson Palmer is kind of what we're talking about. A lot of stats. Some years he had big years, got into the playoffs a couple of times, but never really scared a Super Bowl ever. And I think that's kind of what you're looking at with Herbert.
So my comps, I was thinking it might be lazy because who replaced. I was thinking like a Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, we tossed that around. Andrew Luck got tossed around. Joe Flacco got tossed around.
Matt Ryan is the other one I was kind of thinking of too.
We threw that one around. I think that's a great one. A lot of numbers, but what Ryan had a shot. I mean, and you can win. Matt Ryan could have won a Super Bowl, and Joe Flacco did win a Super Bowl, and Dan Marino knocked on the door of 1 Super Bowl. I mean, you can get there, but it's going to take a special team around him. I don't see the special guy that's going to carry everybody along the way.
And again, like he's looked impressive for no doubt. But as and I think John Von Tobel was in here earlier, who I love talking about these things with. But we laughed maybe for 5 minutes the other day, which is probably way too much to do it on the air. But how many people have said that Justin Herbert has come into the league and dominated?
I know.
And we're like, he's 0-4.
Win a game.
Right. Now, and here's the thing, and this is the case that I made the other day, which Steve got all over me. And actually, we have our Chargers fan, former Chargers fan friend, at least, Justin Watkins, who will be here tomorrow night, cheap plug. He actually agreed with me on my side. But I said, like, when they made Herbert the starting quarterback last week, I was like, yeah, you have to. And my reason was, and I posted this on Twitter, and I'll say it again, though, if anybody's looked at their next 5 games, they should win their next 5 games. Just on just taking the field. The Chargers are good enough. Yeah, the Chargers are good enough to win their next 5 games. So what happens if Herbert comes in, looks good? Now you're like, all right, Tyrod's healthy, he's the starter. And he wins the next 5. You're fucked. You can't have that happen. You can't be 10 games into the season and have Tyrod Taylor be 6-0 and Justin Herbert be 0-4 and be like, all right, well, let's go back to Herbert now.
Right?
You can't do that.
So they've got to bye, and then Jags, at Broncos, Raiders at home, at Dolphins, Jets. At Dolphins is looking saltier.
Right. Sure, but that's 5 games you could very easily win.
It's 5 games. Can we say you should go 3-2?
At worst.
Taking the league by storm?
Yeah, dominating.
Yeah,
he's dominating the league.
Then he should go 3-2.
But their only win was with Tyrod, and if Tyrod came in, say he goes 4-1, let's say he goes 4-1 in those games, and now you're like, all right, now we'll go back to Herbert now.
Yeah,
like, and people are like, wait, we're in the race. What are you doing? You can't do that. You have to go with Herbert.
So tell me this: tell me what the rest of the season is for the Chiefs and the Raiders. Like, what's the final record for those 2 teams?
I think the Chiefs are. I think they might go 12-4 because I do think there's a little bit of, hey, we're just going to wait for the playoffs.
Okay,
it's a weird year. We already lost the game. We can't go undefeated. 13-3 is really what stands out, what jumps out of my mind. But I'm like, maybe 12-4. And I think the Raiders, I was way low on them, but at this point, 10-6.
Okay.
I mean, I want to say 9-7, but they've exceeded my expectations. So
it's always hard to stand your ground in the face of a loss, particularly when you predicted 14-2 coming into the year. Usually, I don't like, I'm like the odds makers. Everyone's going to be between 4 and 12 wins, right? With most everybody between 6 and 10. And the truly exceptional, either exceptionally bad or exceptionally good, are the ones that get outside the 6 to 10 range. But I do think all the pieces are there for the Chiefs. I think defensively they'll bounce back from this. They are playing without some pieces, so I'll stand my ground on 14-2, and hang in there till proven otherwise. But I like the 10-6 on the Raiders.
All right, I don't think they're only winning 6. I think they're way better than that. But this one made me laugh because I don't know if you do it like we do it, but we really messed that up, Soren. Every single comp for Justin Herbert was white. You can't do that. That's lazy.
That is true. That is a fact. Dante Culpepper is a good one. I like that.
You can't go white to white. So thank you. I know Duluth may be Viking centric, but there you go. Yeah. I don't know. Does Steve talk about your guys' record on this, or do you not talk about that?
He hasn't. Okay. We're a little bit past 500. We're not setting anything on fire.
Okay, hanging around though.
We're hanging around. I mean, we had a disaster. Like, we are on the Chiefs. I mean, that's what a shit bomb. I mean, yeah. And I'll tell you why. I'll blame Steve since he's not here to defend himself. That's easier. I'm not going to take any blame. I told him before the season, you do one of 2 things. You either play the Chiefs or get out of the way, or you play the Chiefs every week and you're going to go no worse than 10-6 against the spread. So you put them down and say, we're going to pick 4 other games, but we're going to take our 10-6 over here, and then we're going to pick the other 4 games, and let's try to go. And he didn't want to go week 1 on the Chiefs, right? And so he stayed away, and so we hadn't played him, and so then he liked, because you guys have been so down on the Raiders, and I actually thought when they put the line up there at 12.5, like had they had 6.5, I'd have been all over the Raiders. At 12.5, I'm like, good Lord. Like what in a total letdown spot, like there is a ton of confidence on this team. And so I the Chiefs were my pick. I wasn't loud, and my big pick this week, the one that I made him take, was the Chargers against the Saints. Like we had 3 that were common. We went 3-2, and we had 3 common games. So we played those 3, and then I forced the Chargers on him. And then we took the Chiefs. And I'll tell you what it was partially was because we were going to take the Chiefs last week against the Patriots, and we didn't. And so I think there was some buyer's remorse from that. We didn't because we were worried about the game not being played. And so we took someone else. And so we were pissed that we didn't get that. So I think we just tried to chase that one. And that was – we should have been nowhere near the Chiefs because we were emotionally invested in the game last week, didn't get into it, didn't get a loss, but got an unfavorable conclusion, I'll call it. And so I don't think we were of a clear mind on that game. So that was our worst game. Our other loss, does he have what our other loss was? I can look it up.
No.
I'll look it up.
Okay.
Because I would like your opinion on whether or not we crap the bed. So our games this week, 5 games, we had Chiefs minus 12.5, Dolphins plus 8.5. We were both big on the Dolphins. Browns plus 1.5, we won. Seahawks minus 7, we lost. And Chargers plus 7.5. And so I love the Chargers. We were both on the Dolphins and Browns. And the last ad, the Chiefs, I explained what our piss poor logic was on that.
Seahawks was the last one.
Seahawks was the last ad, and it came down to Seahawks. Let me see here. Let's see. He had talked about the Eagles, and we nixed them. Official 5R. I'm good. Let's see others. Seahawks, Cowboys, Jags were the last 3. And the Cowboys, did they cover?
No.
And did the Jags cover?
Let me think.
Jags
didn't
had
even play.
They had another turd. Bengals. Jags Bengals. It's Jags Bengals.
Yeah. I'm getting the stupid of course. How did I pick the one site to look at scores that was a pay site? That's unbelievable. I'm a genius.
The Jags are never going to get up there because he liked the Bengals. And I said I leaned to the Jags. So they were never going to make it to the board. Because we won't do it if we're on opposite sides. So it came down to Cowboys or Seahawks.
Whose fault was the Seahawks?
His original list included the Seahawks. My original list did not, so I'm going to put that again on Steve. Fuck him.
I see no reason why he would. Oh, Jags was Texans, and they got run out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
30-14, Texans got their first win. I loved the Texans this week. So I was right.
We've been on the wrong side of the Texans already the week before, so that we were probably not willing to jump. Water was a little cold for us.
I also loved the Browns. Those are my second and third best bets of the week were those two, Texans and Browns. Best bet, Falcons. And wow.
Dude, he keeps trying to, I let him put us on the Falcons once, and I'm like, the Falcons are trash. They're just trash. They suck. There are some teams if you get the Chargers with points, okay. But the Chargers lay points, you don't want to be anywhere near it. The Falcons, you can't even get near them. No, if they have no quarterback, you can't play the team. Right? Out. And the Falcons are shit. Those are the rules to live by. Falcons are shit.
Well, that's probably not a good team to bet on if they don't have a quarterback and they're shit. I would probably agree with you on that.
You disagree?
I think you're onto something there. Well, the lines are out for this week in the Super Contest, pending, if there's any changes or games that don't happen. We don't know yet. But again, 2 Monday Night Football games because of COVID and no Thursday game. So makes it a little easier. No thought about if you have to put the picks in early and take a Thursday game. First game up on the card. I know what side I'm on here. See if you're on the same side. Bears visit Carolina. Panthers.
Georgia against Alabama. Is that where you're at?
I
Although
think
I'm
that's
looking
going to
here, and they just dropped that to 4. That pisses me off. I like Georgia in the 6.5. But anyway, all right, go ahead. The pros.
because no Nick Saban.
I know, and it pisses me off because I had more line. I'm fine with Nick Saban. I think Georgia's going to win the game.
I don't think they're going to play, so I don't think you have to worry about it.
I don't know that anybody in the SEC is going to play.
That's true. But Panthers, Bears go to Carolina. Panthers -1.5.
God, I'm even seeing a pick here.
Well, we're doing the super contest lines though.
Yeah, I know.
They're out.
They're out. It is. So it's Panthers 1.5, and now it's down to a pick.
Yeah.
That's
Maybe some Le'Veon Bell speculation to the Bears.
Yeah. Wow, that's a good game. I don't know. Where are you?
I'm on the Panthers. I'm not going to say I'm fully convinced, but I did believe Matt Rule was going to be great, and I thought that he was going to turn things around quickly. Not this quickly. I thought it was going to be a long year, and then next year was the year that they were going to be good. But that guy's just good, and Brady is a good coordinator. They didn't miss a beat without McCaffrey. Davis is putting up massive numbers. He's been fine. Bridgewater, I've always believed in. The defense is figuring it out. I don't know how. Like they have nothing, but they invested a lot through the draft, and those guys are arriving early. I like the Panthers, and I'm taking them this week.
Yeah, I like Rule. I didn't think he'd be this fast, and I didn't think he was going to be a genius or a huge success. I won't go that far, but I thought it was when the hiring was mocked. The contract is unreal. I mean, the contract they gave him, but yeah. So I will say this: like losing Christian McCaffrey forces them to actually throw the football, which is actually and throw the football to somebody other than Christian McCaffrey, which has actually made them a better team.
Yeah.
And so not that McCaffrey's not a better player. They call better plays.
That's also Brady, though. I mean, Brady is,
True.
I think changing what they do. It's not necessarily – it wasn't him that was throwing the McCaffrey. And it's not Kyle Allen anymore either.
I don't really have a side. I think they're probably – I mean, if you get a pick, there's clearly a side. But I don't have a side. I don't have a side because I feel like we've cashed on the Panthers a couple of times, had the Panthers against the Chargers. And so I feel like I'm just kind of a Panther homer right now, and I could go to the Panthers. I think there's money to be made on the Bears because I do think Nick Foles is going to play better as it progresses. And I'm wondering why all the money's on the Bears. Why do you think it's all on the Bears? You think Le'Veon Bell rumors? He's going to step right in with no practice and play?
No, I don't know actually why. I mean, it's also possible that it looked like McCaffrey was going to come back, and now he's not. So I mean, that could be possibly a little bit of it as well. It's not really much of a move anyway. It's anything between 2.5 and 2.5 really hasn't changed that much.
Right.
But yeah.
Okay.
I will not be taking a side on this game. I will not be betting this game. Lions, Jaguars. Good luck.
What's the number?
Lions are 3 on the road.
Tickets are all on the Lions. I want to believe that the Lions are going to do something. I think there are reasons to believe. Is the wideout back? What's his name?
Galladay?
Yeah, is he playing?
Galladay's playing.
Give me the Lions.
Wow.
I do think the Lions are a team that should be better than what they are. Like going into the year, I think this is a good time to revert back and say, if you did your homework and you know what you're talking about, and look back at your preseason assessment, and now there's a lot of lines that are moved by a handful of games. And, it's time to look back and say, okay, did I think this team was good? I think the Lions should be better. And I think the Jags should be worse. And I think the Jags have outperformed themselves. And so I think the Lions should handle this. So I will take.
I still can't figure out what happened week 1 with Colts Jaguars.
Week 1, weird shit happens. That's why you can't read too much into week 1. That's another thing. And how much does week 1 influence what people think of the Jaguars?
A lot.
And no preseason game. That's why you can almost throw out a couple of weeks. Listen, Matt Patricia sucks, but I still think Matt Stafford can spin it, and he played really well last year until he got hurt, and he has not played that well. And I'm assuming it's the lack of Kenny Golladay, because him and Golladay last year, he was on pace for a big year, and then he got hurt, and then everything went to shit for the Lions. Stafford actually played well up there, and so my expectation is the Lions are going to hit a stride. By that, I don't mean that they're going to win 12 games or any shit like that. I just think that they're going to play better. I'll take the Lions.
All right, your favorite team, the Falcons,
No.
are getting 3.5.
No.
Getting 3.5 on the road against Minnesota.
Vikings, or check yourself into a mental institution.
It's the so-called dead cat bounce, Soren. New coaches tend to cover.
They do. They do. I mean, when we'll get to one here in a minute that I'll bring up a great cover by a new coach here in a second. The Falcons are absolutely fucking unbettable. You cannot. They're the biggest tease. Matt Ryan's not good. This just in. Matt Ryan has some decent decision making, but he can't get the ball to where he wants it to go. He doesn't see it. He's never seen it really fast. He's always been a statue. He's always been sackable, but now he doesn't have the arm, and they don't have the schemes. No. Like, why 4? Why is it 4? They have not won a game, and they're on the road. Why that kid? Why is that? What is that? You know what that line is? Dipshits keep saying the Falcons are going to be good.
Well, and everybody bets the new coach. That's what's happening too. It's 3.5 in the contest, 4 on the board. Vikings hosting Falcons.
Listen, my one thing: if anybody bets the Falcons and you lose, it's your ass. And if you win, congratulations! It's their first cover in 6 years. I mean, I don't want to hear it, but that's just the 1-800 bets off. If you play the Falcons.
Let me. I'll ask this question as we lead into the next game, but it's Titans-Texans. Titans are 3 at home, which I think is a ridiculously low number, but we'll get into that. Me and JVT today just asked the simple question for a full segment: are the Titans good?
Dude, yes, they're good.
I think they are.
Easy, they're good. Are they great? Which is the point you're getting to. Like, what do you mean by good? They were good last year.
Sure. But everybody looked at it and was like, oh, these scrappy underdogs fighting their way through with their running game, trying to make the AFC Championship. Yeah, but they're good. They're just good. I think they're really well coached. They do more than enough defensively. They're good on defense. They run the ball. Tannehill, I think, is much better than people think. Like I just think they are good.
People think.
They think first of all, they think all the metrics having him as one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the league last year were completely asinine, and I was like, I don't think they were. I think he played at a really high level.
You know what he is? You know what this is? You know what you're looking at? You're looking at the 1995 Kansas City Chiefs, 1997 Chiefs. I mean, some combination of the Marty Schottenheimer Chiefs. You're looking at a team that's committed to running the ball, and they run it well. They built the team to run the ball. They've got a quarterback that's a game manager, and he manages it well. And when they're in front, he's going to look really good because he doesn't have to take chances because they'll punt and play defense. And the running game's usually going, so he's usually in manageable downs and distances, and he only has to make a few plays. And maybe they're a little bit better than those Marty Schottenheimer Chiefs because they're a little bit more creative on the offense, as are all offenses today, and the games are much more offensive. But it's the same reason why I was very bullish, and I won a bet with Jeff Chadia from NFL Network last year. He was chirping Ravens. I'm like, I've seen this shit, man. I've seen this movie. It's called Marty Schottenheimer. And you can't run, do a championship. You're going to find yourself down somewhere in a playoff run. And at some point, I'll get stung on this. Somebody will do it. And there'll be an asshole in a chat room to tell me, oh, yeah, so congratulations. 17 years later, you get back-assed into the one fucking team that could get it done. Bottom line is this. You cannot run. You're going to find yourself down, and you're going to have to throw. And that's where Lamar Jackson found himself. And he can throw from 20 to 20, but you got to be able to spin it all the way into the end zone. And Ryan Tannehill, I agree. I mean, he's now a fully experienced quarterback. He knows all the tricks. He's athletic. He's still fairly athletic for his age. And so, yes, they are good. Good to very good, but they're not great. Could they win a championship? Yes, if they go +2, +3, +2 in their playoff games, yes, they could be in the Super Bowl and have a fighting chance. This game, who do you like?
I'm taking the Titans.
Why are they? What's the number?
3.
Why?
I don't know. The Texans are like the Falcons, though. The Texans,
Yes.
bettors love them. The
And
market loves them.
you talked about that coach. Romeo Crennel got the win last week. Romeo Crennel took over the Kansas City Chiefs, and a 13-0 Green Bay Packers team was coming in to play a 1-win Chiefs team. I think it was 1 win. No, maybe they had 5 or 6. No, it was 1 win. 1 win. I think 1 win. And the Chiefs upset the Packers. That Aaron Rodgers follow-up to the Super Bowl year where you're supposed to win it and they didn't. Romeo Crennel took over the team from Todd Haley and won. And maybe they were a 5 or 6 win because I think they needed like one more win to maybe get in or something. I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, but Romeo Crennel won that game. So there is your new coach gets the win. But don't you like old days? And I think the analytics and the sharp bettors being so numbers driven now has changed this. But it used to be really easy. If you saw a line like this and the Titans were only a 3-point favorite, you'd be like, holy shit, Vegas wants me on the Titans. You jump on the Texans and you count your money. But it doesn't work that way. Like I got burnt like on K-State getting 8.5 at TCU. I'm like, what the fuck is this? All right, put me on TCU. I can't figure out why they're laying 8.5. Nah, K-State wins outright. Should have been even bigger. Like I get like things that I can't. I'm having like some things have changed, and I think it's the analytics influence on this game. Though I will say this: I think there's something to be said. What we talked about the Titans this week was like the Allen Iverson. What does practice really matter? And I'm not saying you should never practice, but it's clear they got a bye week that clearly helped the Titans. But then they also really couldn't practice, right? Like teams, I think fresh legs. Like having just walkthroughs and meetings maybe once every 4 games is not the worst idea in the world. You know the Titans are going to be back at it. Let's pop some pads. Let's get some shit out there. We're ready to go. And, Vegas, I think, has got something up. So I lean to the Texans. They do have a quarterback, and I think that they're an 8-8-ish team, so they ought to be winning more games than they're losing the rest of the way. So I would lean to the Texans on this. I think the Titans are good but not great.
Shouldn't the Titans just keep practicing at local high schools?
Yes.
Seems to work.
Under the veil of COVID, yes, absolutely.
I don't know why you wouldn't. Okay, here's the question of the day. Could you lay points with the Giants?
No. No. But could you bet the Redskins?
Yes.
Man, only against a team like the Giants. Listen.
Here's the matchup to watch, and I'll tell you why I might take the Redskins. Redskins defensive line.
Football team.
Sorry, you're right. Washington football team. For the football team's defensive line, which is a problem, against a fumbling Danny Dimes who fumbles like 3 times a game. Like I feel like while Washington might score, the football team might score enough points defensively to win.
So we looked up. This is one of the things we looked up: guys to have 4 touchdown passes in their rookie year. Danny Dimes twice. It's happened like 18 times before Justin Herbert. Danny Dimes twice. Like, doesn't that like boggle your mind a little bit?
Well, sure, but they were also behind a lot and just throwing all over the place. And they let him have that chance. And they had a really good receiving core plus tight end. Like they had all the pieces in place to have an offense, except for him, and an offensive line, of course, which is a very important part. I realize.
Starting for the Redskins.
Looks like it's going to be Kyle Allen, which is maybe your best case scenario. Like I think he stinks, but Alex Smith, as much as I love the story, was a disaster last week.
Listen, 2 turds play. Give me the points. That's always my philosophy. And give me the points on the money line. Right? If I were there, I would play the Skins on the money line, or I wouldn't play the game.
There you go.
I don't think that I can put a super contest play on either one of those turds right now.
How about AFC North showdown? Steelers, Browns, Steelers 3 at home.
Yeah, I'm seeing 3.5. Opening line at 5, down to 3.5. I like the fact that it's 3. I think I'm stealing a half point. I think it'll be 3.5 at kickoff. I'm thinking Steelers. Like just when the momentum's all on the Browns, like this is just it should be a good game. I believe that the Browns are a good team, right? Not great team, but a good team. But Steelers at home. I mean, you're saying this game's a pick 'em on a neutral field. I like the weaponry that the Steelers have put back together. I like the Steelers in this one.
I'm really excited to watch Browns offense for Steelers defense.
Yes.
Steelers defense they're really good, but like if you can look take a closer look at the numbers, they have not been dominant. They haven't been great. They've been just really good, and I think they can get a lot better. But they just haven't been playing at that level. And I do think Kevin Stefanski is a brilliant offensive mind, and I think what he has done for Baker Mayfield has been incredible. Maybe that's just that the previous staff was that bad that Stefanski just looks even smarter. But I thought Stefanski was the right hire when they hired him. I have a friend who's a very overreactionary Browns fan. He was like, "Just more of the same garbage." I was like, "Nah, I think you got it right this time. I think you're good."
I think every coach gets a 1-year kiss from all the players trying to, show up and make a good impression.
Sure, but so,
I'm not disputing his X's and O's. I'm fine with what you're saying about it. He made Kirk Cousins look like a hero,
yeah.
and not that Kirk Cousins. I think he gets too much grief, but I think he's got Baker Mayfield's got more upside just because we haven't seen him as much than him. But I think it's a similar situation. I'm fine with that. But are the Browns ready to go make it happen at Pittsburgh? I say no.
Yeah, I think at 3 I would lean Steelers. I think you're right on that. I think because
to be honest,
it's going to be 3.5.
The game is kind of a turd. Like this is how the game should be. The Steelers lining up a game-winning field goal, and it's a 3-point win for the Steelers.
Fair enough. Ravens, Eagles. Eagles at home, getting 7.5. I will be taking those points.
How many times do you have to take the points of the Eagles before how many times do you have to touch the stove when it's hot to learn, holy shit, like that I got burnt?
At least one more. I can't answer that question for you because I haven't answered that question on the Falcons yet.
Right.
But I'm going to keep doing it. I think the Eagles are just better than we've seen. I feel like our eyes are lying.
When do they become what they are?
Well, I mean,
I'm not saying I'd lay 7 points, but when do they become who they are?
Well, first of all, Lamar is not running, which is concerning because I think there's knee issues.
Yes,
and so he's not running. So I would be a little hesitant to be laying more than a touchdown with the Ravens for sure. I think with the Eagles we're like we keep waiting for them to be healthy. Like right now, like their top 3 receivers are out. Goddard, who is 1A tight end, is out, and really he's their number 1 tight end now. He's out. They've got all these issues with nobody to throw to. Last year, Wentz somehow overcame that. He's not doing it right now. Obviously, he's playing terrible. So I think we're like, well, they're good healthy at some point, but they're not. Nobody's coming back. None of these guys are back, so I don't know why I think they're going to all of a sudden figure it out. But they clearly are having issues. Now, Miles Sanders being back and healthy is helping.
You just gave me a great reason why you'd be on the Ravens. Why are you on?
Because I'm betting the Eagles every week because I just feel it's happening sometimes. Okay, last week they should have absolutely covered, but they were in position to try to win the game. And then Peterson, who I sometimes think is good and sometimes think is an idiot, lined up for that ridiculous field goal that ended up costing them the cover and any chance to win. So they were right there. The score was absolutely misleading last week. They should have been right there. So they hung on the road with the Steelers, a pretty good team. Now they're at home they're starting to get to desperate times. I mean, I know the division sucks, but they only have one win. Like at some point, they have to start winning games.
When does the offensive line get better, and why does it get better?
I'm just saying. What I'm saying about the Eagles is it's all faith. This is just all faith.
I think they've done a really good job the last couple of years getting themselves into the playoffs, but they were a team that was thrown together via free agency. A lot of what they did to win that Super Bowl was free agency. And I think they've been a more flawed team. I think winning the championship bought them so much equity, and it's equity that I don't know that they deserved. I think at some point when you keep getting your ass kicked by the Eagles, like, yeah, there's some teams that, the Chiefs in 2015 were 1-5 and then won 10 games in a row. I mean, yes, it happens, but at some point you are who you look like. But listen, I said go back to what your read was on the team. I like everything I just said. I would play the Eagles or I wouldn't play.
Right. I actually really like a side here. Colts at home, 7.5 over the Bengals.
7.5?
Yeah.
You sure it's not 9.5?
7.5 in the Super Contest.
Where is that number?
Just in the Super Contest. And I wouldn't be able to play this if I was in the Super Contest, but I'm not in it, so I don't have to worry about it. The 9.5 I like even more, but
You like the Bengals?
I do like the Bengals. Again, I don't have to actually bet these, so I can say that I would never actually take 7.5 in a game where 9.5s were out there.
Well, we were on the Browns largely because I said the Colts defense is overrated, right? Because they played no good quarterbacks, and that was a big reason we were anti-Colts as much as we were pro-Browns last week.
But also, and I have to check now, but also the Colts' best defensive player was out, Darius Leonard, and I don't know what his status is for this week. I'm looking for it right now.
For the rest of the year. That's the way it was last
Fair.
year.
So didn't practice again today. Maybe he's not back. He's out with a groin issue, aren't we all? So I just think I do think the Colts defense is pretty good. I think we get carried away with how good people say it is, but it's pretty good. And I think Rivers is a disaster.
I think he's learned to stop trying to win the game.
Okay.
In some ways, but I'm with you. I think that's too many points, and I tend to lean towards the Bengals. But I am scratching my head saying, why are they throwing so many points around if the Colts aren't as good as like the readjustment after the last loss should make them, should get some real line to them. But that I don't know. I don't think the Bengals are that bad, but I am scared by how big the real line is.
So here from our friend Truth from Duluth, Colts live by their offensive line, and looks like Costanzo will be back. He at least got a limited practice today. One handicapping thing to look at, if you're, especially works in fantasy, but it helps with betting as well. If there's a player that's like very questionable, you have to know situations, and so Darius Leonard is going to go into this game questionable again. And as you said, he's going to be questionable the whole year. The Colts have a bye week next week. That's an important thing to know.
Yes.
Because it becomes much more likely that they keep him out and try to get him 2 weeks off to get healthy.
Yes.
So I would say if he's very questionable, he probably doesn't play.
Right.
So that's something to keep in mind, that they do have the bye week on the horizon. Let's see. Well, these are out of order because there's a lot of shuffling, but the featured game at 125 is a pick'em. Packers at Bucks.
By the way, that's 125 Pacific for anyone here in the Midwest.
You're right. 325. I can do the quick math there.
325 KC time. Who do you like?
I won't be betting this game, but I'd probably be on the Bucks.
I'd probably stay with the Packers.
Okay.
I think there's an expectation that they're going to come roaring back. Yeah, you know what? What's the line?
It's pick.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Yeah, losing on Thursday. Packers have got to go down at some point. early money on the Packers.
I do like the Bucs defense.
Yeah.
They get a couple extra days to try to get some of these guys healthy. I think Godwin might be back, which will be massive.
Right.
They've got,
All receivers are going to be back for the Packers. I think Devontae Adams will definitely be back.
Adams had a full practice. He's playing. He could have played last game, but they wanted, again, like we were talking about Darius Leonard, they wanted to get him 2 weeks off. They had a bye week, so they sat him. He'll be back, which is big for them. But first of all, I do think it's a bigger game for the Bucs. Like they need this game. The Packers really don't. And like I said, I like the Bucs defense. I like them getting a little bit healthier. And I just think it's a game that they need a big effort from. Like I said, I don't like them enough to bet them. But if we're talking games here, we're talking leans, I'd go Bucs in this one.
All right, so let me ask you this. So you say they don't need it, but in the race for the number 1 seed and the bye week, how much more does that drive the teams at the top that only the 1 seed gets the bye? How much more do you get the full effort because you've got to have the 1 seed? If that's the case,
every game is important. Every game is important. You're right. I think the Bucs are just at a spot right now where they're starting to sense things could go the wrong way, and this team did not get put together to not make the playoffs.
Right.
And that doesn't always mean everything. Like, I think we get way too caught up in that sometimes. I don't always get caught up in it. I just feel like this is a spot where the Bucs with a couple extra days. I know the Packers had a bye week, but the Bucs had a half bye week from playing on Thursday.
Right.
I just think they're gearing up and they've got this game. They've got this game circled and they're ready to go. So, no real statistical breakdown. Just more.
Right.
I like the Bucs spot here. Rams and Niners is the 7:20 game.
Yep.
Soren in Kansas City. 5:20 out here.
Yep.
Rams on the road are laying 3 against a Niners team that is just a mess.
So where are you?
I'm actually taking the Niners.
Of course. Absolutely. Got to be on the Niners. I mean, Kyle Shanahan, I think, is actually they're both really good offensive minds. And I know the Niners defense has not been – DeForest Buckner is clearly a big part. That's a big part of why the Colts have been better. Their defense is very good, right? Even we talked about it may not be the number 1 defense, but it's very good. But the Niners defense has not been as good. But I will take, as bad as they looked, I think there'll be an overreaction. And so I will jump on the Niners here.
Yeah, I mean, you tell me again. You were talking earlier about looking at your preseason read. I know things have changed. I know the Niners aren't the same team. Before the year, you're going to talk about.
I had the Niners.
So did I. I think I had a miss in the playoffs, but at the same time, I don't think any of us thought you could be getting a field goal at home with this team against the Rams this early in the season. No chance.
No, and the Rams have 4 wins, all 4 against the NFC East. So what are the Rams? I'm not sure yet. I still don't know.
They also did beat the Bills. I'm still counting that as a win. They celebrated the victory. It's a win. You can't throw a flag 12 seconds after the play is over and decide to continue the game. Okay. That's insanity. Okay. So they did beat the Bills on the road, but that is I guess we don't see that in the standings. Okay. I talked about not thinking we would see the Niners as a 3-point home underdog. I didn't think I would see the Dolphins as an 8.5-point favorite ever. Yeah,
and I'm seeing 9.5 too.
It's insanity. I will be taking the Jets. Absolutely, we'll be taking them.
The Jets are unbettable. Absolutely not. Dolphins are bust. Dolphins or don't play. You cannot. You take the Jets.
You can't lay 10 points with the Dolphins. You can't
take the Jets.
I've taken them several times this year, and I'll do it again. I don't care. No. It has not been good. It's not been a good go of things for the Jets. I've been a lot of bad teams.
Listen, this is the problem with the idea that every game is a bettable game, right? I mean, somebody will win, but it doesn't mean it was a good bet.
Right.
And the Jets will cover somewhere, but you will piss away so much money chasing what that day is. Do not play the Jets. And I'm fine if you say the Dolphins are a team that I thought would be 6-10, 7-9, 8-8. So there's no way they can lay 9.5. Fine. That's fine. Two factors came in that said, I can't play that game. There's a reason to not play each team and get the hell out of Dodge.
I'll be on the Jets.
I actually almost put the Dolphins into the playoffs, so I think the Dolphins are good. By the way,
I was close too.
they have the Texans' first-round pick.
Yeah.
So think if they have like the number 5 pick.
Texans go over.
Yeah.
They win one game all year. Yeah, the Dolphins they did it right. They knew what they were doing, and they did it right, and they got here. And impressive that they're here now. The problem that they have is, like we talked about earlier, when you can't make quarterback switches. How could you take Fitzpatrick out now? You have to play Tua at some point, but how could you take him out?
Yeah, no, you can. He's one of the highest-rated guys. He is like the 6th or 7th best fantasy quarterback, and he's only on like 10% of the teams, I'll bet, because everyone's like, well, the shitburger's coming, so I'm not picking him up. You know,
Fitztragic will make an appearance at some point. I guess I'm making the bet that it's this week against the Jets. We'll find out. However, I did go against that by picking up Fitzpatrick in a bunch of leagues, so see how that works out.
Him up, yeah.
Patriots Broncos is the last game on the Sunday card, even though it's a 10 a.m. noon start. Patriots laying 10 at home against the Broncos, and Cam Newton activated.
Yep.
Drew Lock practicing, so it looks like both teams will have their starting quarterbacks.
Are the Patriots a team that should be laying double digits to anybody? Are they that good?
Probably not. But I don't really like the Broncos. And here, I think Noah Fant is a big loss.
Yes.
And he does a lot of important things for that team beyond just catching passes. I mean, he clears a lot of space open for other guys. He's actually a pretty decent blocker. There's a lot of things that he does that they're going to miss. And especially with Cortland Sutton already out, all the attention defensively on Jerry Jeudy. I don't know if Melvin Gordon's playing at this point. I think he probably will, but got the DUI this morning.
Fant, by the way, is listed as questionable and limited Wednesday.
Yeah, I don't think what I was hearing is that he wasn't going to play. If he does, it's obviously big. But if they don't have him, it's a massive loss. I don't know if it's enough to get me on the Patriots, but listen, if Fant is out, if Gordon is somehow out, Cortland Sutton's already out, like Jerry Jeudy becomes really one of their only weapons that they have offensively, and we know what Belichick does to other teams' top weapons. So all of a sudden, if they've only got one guy to go to, good luck with Drew Lock coming back from injury here.
The number's just so high.
It is.
Right? That's the problem. It's like the Patriots could dominate this game and walk away, 23-14, 21-13, and be like, oh my God, the Patriots owned it, and then they don't get out of it. Like, can they get enough points? That's the deal. I have no problem. Like, I think, Vic Fangio's done, like, should be done. Like, it's not coming around. So I couldn't play the Broncos here, but that's a lot of points. I mean, the Patriots would be the side, but that's a lot of points. The quantity of points makes me think the Patriots are going to lay a beatdown on the Broncos.
Yeah, it's not enough points to get me interested in the Broncos, but I'd have a hard time laying double digits with this Patriots squad. 2 games on Monday night. We'll save the early one for second because we already talked a lot about both teams. But Cardinals go to the Cowboys and Andy Dalton. Cowboys +2 at home.
So I love the good football team, which the Cowboys have not proven to be yet, but we're expected to be. Good football teams rally around a backup quarterback for one game. So I love when the backup comes in. The question is, was that juice played in the last game? Or is there more juice? Like the idea that like, oh shit, the backup's in, we got to really bring it. Right? We got to raise our level. And that's been a consistent winner for me over the years. But because of how much Dalton played, I kind of feel like, and the result they got, getting a big win, I kind of feel like that was kind of played last week. I think everybody's going to want to be on the Cowboys. I think everybody's wanting to say Dalton's good. Chandler Jones out for the Cardinals is big. I think I'm on the Cardinals.
I'm on the Cowboys, and for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think I agree with your backup quarterback theory, and I think maybe they kind of shot their wad on that a little bit last week. But I don't know if it applies as much when a quarterback is actually kind of decent. It's not like they're rallying around, some jabroni.
Right.
Dalton's not a world beater, but I think he's good enough.
But then they don't need to rally, and so then they'll come flat.
Well, I also feel, I know he took a lot of heat for it, but God, why am I forgetting? Jesus, the guy, Sunday Night Football guy, the old coach of the Colts, his name,
Dungy.
Yeah. When Dungy said it, I know he took a lot of heat for it last week, and he said it inartfully, I guess is how you would say it. But I do think it's not a good thing for the Cowboys that got hurt. It will change how they play. It absolutely will. They're going to try to run the ball, be a ball control team, keep their defense off the field, and that's not what they were doing with Prescott, because Prescott was throwing the ball over the place and trying to outscore opponents because they knew the defense was going to give them points.
But here's why it was a terrible statement. Because the problem, he's been throwing it all over the field because they've been down. Because they dig a hole. It's not like they're throwing it all over the field with a tie game and that's what's digging them the hole. They're in a hole and they have no choice. Like, get up in a game and you can play from in front.
But I do think they're going to more commit to the running game and the short passes and keep the defense off the field.
Yeah. I mean, I think they will, but I don't know that translates into success.
Well, for this,
running it, you have to run it successfully. And if you come out and say, pound and pound with two backup offensive tackles, this isn't the Cowboys line from 3 years ago.
True. Absolutely true. I just think with what they can do now, which is being a more limited offense, I think that it adjusts how they play. And the defense isn't going to be any better, but it can't hurt them to not be on the field as much. And if you fall behind 7-0, and then Prescott comes out and it's 4 deep passes and they make a field goal, and 7-3, and the defense is right back on the field, it's like you just get into those shootouts. Yeah. It's like, all right, we're going to come out, we're going to be fine, we'll run the ball, we'll short passes, we'll try to move it up the field. By the way, I was going to say matriculate. Did you see the dictionary controversy with that? Like, I think it's the big dictionary, the Merriam-Webster, whatever, folks. They said like nobody uses the word matriculate anymore except for football people, because it was like popularized by yes, and so they said the only time anybody ever like Googles the word matriculate is like early in football season when like what does this word mean, and they check it out. So they were thinking of making the definition really a football-based definition.
That's awesome.
Of matriculate, which is very cool. I saw that randomly the other day.
Because Hank Stram was Bill Walsh before Bill Walsh. But anyway, I digress.
Matriculating the ball down the field. I'm not making the case that the Cowboys are going to be a better team. Like, I just think they're a different team, and they could beat a team like the Cardinals at home doing this. They're not going to beat the good teams. They're not going to win playoff games doing this. But I think that they can win games like this.
I think there's reason to have soured on the Cardinals, and this is when they start to find their way and get back going. I think this is an even matchup.
All right. Last one. Bills Chiefs. I know who I'm cheering for, and I know who I'm betting on.
There's way too much, Chiefs went from 1 to 4 and all the power polls. Pete Prisco on CBS is calling for the Bills to upset the Chiefs. Of course, he's usually picking against the Chiefs. And
barely an upset, by the way.
Huh?
It's barely an upset. 3.5.
What, if the Bills win, or?
Yeah, it's not like some. I think this is going to be a big upset this week. The Bills will beat the Jets. It's 3.5.
I see what you're saying. No, but I think you expect the Chiefs to bounce back. I think the Bills are good. I think Josh Allen's not as good as he looked in the past. I think Steve Spagnuolo is way better than he looked last week, and I think that how bad they were will focus them on this week. Now, listen, I have said There's two directions this Chiefs team can go this year. I think one, it could go the way of the back-to-back Niners championships in what would it have been, 87 and 88? Is that the range, 88 and 89? Where the first year they were kind of pretty good. Chiefs were 12-4 last year, but they were 6-4 at one point. And then the second year they rolled everybody. I said the season could go like that, or it could go the way the Rams did in 2000, which was a 10-6 team that played no defense and got bounced early in the playoffs. Like, they were good enough, but they weren't steamrolling everybody because they were just waiting for the playoffs, but they weren't ever able to turn the switch. Like, there's two ways to look at the Chiefs' 4-1 start. You know, you can look at it and say, okay, they're 4-1. That's pretty damn good. And they lost to a Raiders team that brought everything, had their day in a trap situation. Or you can say, well, the Chiefs didn't really play that well against the Chargers, right? They were lucky to get a win on that. They needed a field goal in overtime from 58 yards to win that one. They got soundly beaten by the Raiders. It was worse than the 8-point difference makes it look, and you can make a case for that. And their offense was held to 19 points by the Patriots. So you could say that, this team's not that good. I mean, this is kind of a defining game for what the Chiefs are and where they are. And I believe that they are a good team. I believe that this is going to be a 14-2 season. That was my opinion coming in. So this is a game that they will win. The over-under on the Bills was 8.5 for a reason.
Yeah, I mean, they've exceeded that expectation, that level, but their schedule doesn't get a lot of
preseason picks. Like, what did you have? Did you do it right? Do you trust them in what you're doing? Did you look back at your over-under bets? You had the Chiefs over 11.5. If you had the Bills, I'm not sure. If you had the Bills like lock solid, I got them for 11 or 12 wins. Okay, play the Bills. But if you had the Bills like, I'm not sure, you didn't play them over or you played them under, then you have to play the Chiefs here.
Yeah, and I think there's certainly a case to be made that the Chiefs were kind of looking ahead past the Raiders and looking behind to just getting past the Ravens and the Patriots, and we're just in a bad spot. Defensively, we talked about it earlier, whether you get concerned about what happened. Just looking at the comment. Whether you get concerned about what happened the other day or not. Like, I do think it was odd in a way that the Chiefs' pass defense has been so good, and that's how the Raiders beat them. If the Raiders, and maybe it was just.
I think the pass defense, that is the scary part. Here's the other thing that just scared me looking at this, and maybe when Steve and I talk and we actually get ready to, we'll back off this, but 94% of the money, 91% of the tickets on the Chiefs.
Ooh, that's scary.
I never like that.
No. And yeah, we'll see where the line settles. The Super Contest is not going to move. It's going to be 3.5, but the line out in the market might change a little bit. But yeah, the Chiefs' pass defense have been so good, and that's where they got beat. Now, you could chalk that up to they kind of expected the Raiders to come be the Raiders and run the ball and throw short, and the Raiders just totally caught them off guard by throwing downfield, which is something they just don't do. Right. And that's very possible. But what the Raiders beat the Chiefs at is what the Bills do. Like, that's what the Bills' offense is. They don't run it. They try to take shots downfield. They get a lot of guys open.
That's a good point. I mean, looking at the ticket and money disparity right now, and what's the number? What are they using?
3.5.
Yeah, that's a little scary.
What is the market number that you have right now?
3.5.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about the game. I can't wait to watch it. It's a afternoon Monday game, which is always fun. Well, it's a little later for you, I guess. 4 for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
4 o'clock on a Monday. Yeah, how my show is going to work. The 2 to 6 show is going to work. I'm going to do 4 to 6 technically. Here's a little peek under the covers for people. 4 to 6 will be done noon to 2. 2 to 4, I do our pregame show too. 2 to 4 will be the Central Bank of the Midwest pregame show. And 4 o'clock, you will hear what I did from noon to 2.
So you're going to pre-tape?
Yes.
Smart.
What do you think? First of all, I think no one is going to be listening to the radio because I think everybody.
Why would they
watch the TV? I think one of the biggest shams out there for professional sports is radio rights. Like, I think you are shitting money into a breeze spending millions of dollars for radio rights for professional sports. Like there is some, like being the official home of, you get that like hometown, that like all the fans, if you're winning, that's a great thing if the team's winning because, you're kind of part of the club. And so you get some of that, stink of the winning team on you and the fans like it, right? But as far as getting listeners, when was the last time you listened to a football game on the radio?
Never.
Oh,
no. I mean, no. Listen, I listen every week. You can listen to the official Raiders broadcast at Lotus through Lotus Broadcasting, Comp 92.3, each and every Sunday.
Look, there are guys that are on the job that are listening. All right, and I'm not saying no one listens, but I'm just saying like, and listen, I said there's value in all the ancillary programming, all this, like and being kind of with it, but in reality, like people are gonna go watch the game. So like, why am I gonna, we'll have good programming. Well, we'll do quality programming. We'll counter program. Like we either do Royals or college stuff or sporting. We'll do good stuff and we'll work hard that day. It'll just be what you're hearing from 4 to 6 will have happened from noon to 2. And then 2 to 4, we'll do our pregame. And then at 4 o'clock, I'm watching the game.
Because I knew you guys did the pregame, I thought that just meant you had the rights. I didn't know the game wasn't on your station.
No, we do the best pregame. We just don't have the rights. We used to be the broadcast partner, the ancillary partner. That ended last year.
But I feel like
I'm crying about it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on the broadcast. I just feel like the benefits would be, if you have that relationship with the team and getting more players and coaches and GM type people.
Good, but we didn't get we didn't get as much. We had a Patrick Mahomes interview, and that's a good deal. That it's great to have Patrick Mahomes on your radio station, but I'm going to tell you, he's Andy Reid Jr.
Right.
I mean, everybody in town loves the guy, but like for an interview, I mean, it's hard work. Like you literally have 10 to 12 minutes, and you've got to bring between 15 and 20 questions. You can almost, Curtis would look at it. Curtis, people who listen to me, in case you know who Curtis is, and that's all our sound and everything. And he said it's like when you look at the sound file, like boom, 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 like here's Mahomes is here, and my voice is up here or whatever. He said it's almost like a geometric deal. My questions are this long, his answer's that long. My question's this long, his answer's that long. It's like this, it's almost like a tennis match. Like his answer will never be more than 30 seconds.
He's good in that State Farm commercial.
With the ketchup?
He doesn't really talk in that one either.
Yeah, the ketchup. He's a bright guy, and you can get him. You can find a way into some things that aren't football, but even that, he's on to the next thing. Very nice guy. They'll be like, they pull me out of the Andy Reid thing, and I walk out. There he is, and he's there looking at his phone, and I go, "Hey, how you doing?" And he's like, good. And so we walk into this room, we sit down, I have everything all set up, ready to go. And when he sits down, I go to shake his hand. He always shakes my hand. How you doing, man? It's good, very cordial. And I tell him if there's anything I thought was going to be like question. Like one time I had to, Brittany had fired off some tweets that were a big topic. I said, listen, I guess she was harassed at the Patriot game and, and people are talking about it. So I'm going to ask you like, hey, does your famed celebrity come up? I want you to know that that's coming. And he's like, okay, I appreciate it. So we go through the interview, but then it's like his answers are like this. Like you got to have everything ready to go. The part that I did enjoy, I listen, he's Patrick Mahomes, so you enjoy the whole thing. But the part that I thought we really could, and at times you uncover a nugget, right? But when I get to my final 4, which are 4 questions that are like, could be off the wall, could be whatever, he would kind of engage there. You get into his TV shows, his food, clothes, cars, vacations, pop culture. You could get some stuff out of him there. But, I always felt like if I just do 12 minutes of that, people are going to be like, why don't you ask him about this? Why don't you? So you're obligated to ask him about the different things that are there. But he's a tough guy to get a lot out of. Good guy, great guy. Best conversation I ever had with him. after his rookie year at the Super Bowl in Minneapolis, he played the one game, last game of the regular season against the Broncos. Everyone knew it came down while he was there that Alex Smith was being traded to the Redskins while we were at the Super Bowl.
Wow.
And chatting with him there, nobody was really coming up to him. Like he was just that last year's first-round pick. And so we stood there and bullshitted with him for 15, 20 minutes while he was waiting to go on another station. Think about it. We're at Radio Row. They weren't clamoring. Like Lee Steinberg's group was offering him up, and they weren't just lining up to talk to the guy. He had 20 minutes to just sit there and bullshit with us.
Things change quickly.
The next year, he's got 17 people around him, and you can't have him for more than 6 minutes.
That was I told the story on the radio today. Minneapolis is the worst. Truth to answer that question, it's not the worst. I was there last year. I mean, there's not a whole lot going on. It's got the ball, and that's about it. It's not awful.
There's some neat. We were over by St. Paul. There was a cool little area. We went to dinner while we were there. It's colder than witch's tit, I'll tell you that.
It is freezing.
It was -7. -7.
They do have the best stadium, though.
Is it?
I think it's the best stadium in the NFL.
Oh, wow. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's incredible. Well, yes, we covered. Sorry. Yeah, go back. You can go back and listen after it's over. We did do this like the first 15 minutes. So
we did, yes.
Definitely check that out. No, you were talking Mahomes just before he broke out. I told the story on radio today about going to a local like breakfast spot here in town. Really good food, but just like a very casual breakfast place with Conor McGregor and his girlfriend.
In Minneapolis?
No, in Vegas. I was just saying, because you told the story, Mahomes was like not quite like the massive star yet when you had that conversation with him. Just before Conor McGregor really blew up. Like he was just about to be Conor McGregor.
Right.
And we went to this breakfast locally, which was a very weird experience.
Wait, were you going to the breakfast like at the end of a night?
No.
So like, hey, shit, the sun's up at 7:30. Let's go get something to eat. Or had you been asleep and then got up and agreed to go meet for breakfast?
No. He had an interview to do, and I was like, hey, it was the night before. He had an interview to do the next day, and I was like, hey, is it cool if I ride along with you to like say, this is like blossoming star, just about to be a superstar. This is what his day is like. Okay. Like, can I just jump in the limo with you, go to the interviews? And he was like, yeah, of course. And I had to clear it with the UFC, of course, and everything. But we did it, and he actually had like, I think it was an hour and 20 minutes till his flight was leaving. And he's like, I need food. And like, you don't have time. You go to the airport. He's like, I need food. So we went to this little spot over by the airport. He gave the guy like $200. And he's like, can you make our food right away? And he's like, yeah, I guess so. And he's like, what do you want? They brought the food out. But like, just sitting there with Conor, like him and his girlfriend at the time, now I think they're married, but just having this normal conversation. Like 2 people, I think, came up and said something. But like now he couldn't do something like that. And there's no way I could ever like witness like sitting and doing something like that. It's crazy. Like right before somebody becomes big, that you can have like a moment like that.
Well, nuts. Is he a good guy? Was he a good guy?
Yes. But I think there's different things that he's interested in that make him not a good guy sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get that.
And so, in the middle of the day on a Thursday, that wasn't really happening.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah, I think that's kind of the basis of a lot of his problems.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but we
rhymes
found
with?
out.
Rhymes
Yeah.
with?
I don't even know if a word rhymes with that.
No, there is. You could just change the first letter.
Mo Payne.
I knew it. I can't believe you did it.
I don't think it's a big secret.
No.
Maybe not. I don't know. No, and then he actually found out that we have a very mutual interest in 90s hip hop, and then it was just over.
Yeah.
Like it was like a 2-hour conversation.
You are the most relatable human being on earth.
Is that accurate?
That's a fact. That is a fact. Except
something
for late in a fantasy football auction, where you cannot take anything.
I'm so pissed I don't have Antonio Gibson on my team. So fucking pissed.
I got him on my dynasty team. He hadn't even done shit.
He's about to break out.
I agree. He's actually kind of making some noise. I agree.
That's you know what? On that note, that's enough.
That's it.
We got to get out of here. It's almost 11. We did some good stuff. Check out Soren show on Monday, taped. It's inside info. He's going to be taping.
Just 4 to 6. Just 4 to 6. Just 4 to 6 will be taped. 2 to 4 will be rocking live. Hey, listen, there are others that would mail in. We're there till 6 every day, man.
Good for you. We are there from 1:59 to 5:58 every single day. That's our time in the studio. So we take care of that. We're on 2 to 5 tomorrow, off early, even though there's no football. I think baseball's on after us. So check us out. Check Soren out as well. Thanks to everybody from Kansas City tuning in. You are just at Soren Petro, right?
At
your name.
Yep.
So follow him. My Twitter is up there. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Soren, for joining and hanging out. And
you are the man, brother.
Glad I didn't ruin this whole thing. We can keep this going. Tomorrow night, we'll be back again. Steve's still out of town, but Justin Watkins, Legal Podcast, 9 o'clock Pacific. Thanks, Big Cheese, 645-787-663. That's good. It's a good handle. Yeah, Justin Watkins tomorrow with the Legal Pod. We'll have a lot of stories for him and a lot of stuff there. So make sure you check that out. 9 Pacific, 11 Kansas City time, and we will talk to you guys then. See ya. Thanks.